And included that nobody even talks about is Anwar in Alaska, one of the great sites of energy in the world. And I didn't think it was a big deal, and then one day a friend of mine who's in the oil business called, "Is it true that you have Anwar in the bill?" I said, "I don't know, who cares? What is that? What does that mean?"
The most sad thing that I see going on is apathy towards Anwar. I think that I talk to people from outside of the state of Alaska, and they might want to protect it, but they really don't know a lot about it. But they might not know much about their national park that's right in their backyard, really. I don't want to see all things cut off in the national parks. And the reason is because if the next generation of kids coming up only thinks of Glacier National Park as this place that they're separate from. They don't go there to pick berries, they don't go there to fish, they don't go there to hunt, they don't go there to do other things. They might not care about Glacier National Park or Anwar. It becomes just this thing. And I wonder if those people are really gonna have that skin in the game, blood, they really, it makes me emotional. They really care about Anwar. I really get emotional about it. It really matters to me. I burn oil. I have an airplane that burns fuel, but we need to keep people having a real, tangible need to have national parks. Not just it's Yosemite out there, it's sad, I see people just getting disconnected to it.
I think other than my family, I think I love mountains more than just about anything. Everybody has their place, some people love the ocean, some people, they love the desert. For me, being in the mountains allows me to look at the world and see beauty in a way that's so much bigger than me, you just can't deny it. The weather is powerful in the mountains, and the terrain is powerful, and you have to earn every single step. You have to work hard to get to the top. And when you do, your perspective expands exponentially, and you get to look over horizons that allows you to see where you're going. The beauty in the mountains is unparalleled. The feeling of power is unparalleled, not within myself, but within the place. The vulnerability I feel in the mountains is good for the soul. It puts me in my place, and that's an important thing to feel.
So we chose to try to fly across the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, which is the country's largest wilderness area and north of the Arctic Circle. Nobody's tried to bivy-fly up here like this before. And so, this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience a mountain range like this.
The land and the animals are basically the same as they've been for 10,000 years, or more.
The current politics around what's happening in the oil field, it might not be like this for much longer.
We're about to start a grand adventure. We are, pretty close to the North Slope on the Brooks Range, right off the Hall Road. We're about to start walking for the next 3 weeks and hopefully flying a lot.
The Brooks Range is one of the northernmost mountain ranges in the world, and with very limited access to its wilderness, you are 100% self-reliant to get yourself in and out of whatever situation you choose to be in. We decided that we would stick together 100% of the time for the entire trip. I have to say, after looking at the maps, I thought that we were going to fly this route in a week. And if we had bad weather, that we could probably walk it in 2 weeks. And that quickly proved us wrong.
Tussock is an interesting thing. It's like grass. It looks like easy walking, and it's just grass growing out of like 8 to 12 inch deep moss with water underneath it. So it's literally like walking through a wet sponge up to your ankles. And it's funny, you know, you can think that you're prepared for it, but until you start trying to cover a bunch of distance, you're just not, you know?
4 or 5 miles in a day was a huge day. Now what's the pace been like?
First day pace. We did gain about 3,000 feet, and we do have light winds, and we're about to get to the end of this plateau where I'm really hopeful that we'll be able to fly. A couple of young caribou, some yearling visitors, hiking partners. Pretty cool, huh?
Super cool. Well, I definitely looked at Jeff as like a father figure because he's old. Having a good partner for a trip like this is everything.
I can't get any of it because of this goddamn spork. I need a spoon.
You're gonna be walking long days, making, you know, life crucial decisions on the hourly basis, and flying across one of the bigger ranges in the continent that no one's ever tried. I mean, you have to have someone who is gonna support you through the good and the bad.
I went out there knowing that I was going with a guy who was ready to let loose when we could and to be totally fine with backing down when we needed to. We're out in the middle of nowhere, which means we have to make decisions that are maybe a little more conservative than if we were like in the Alps or something. I need a partner who's got exceptional character, who's honest, and who's gonna have a good attitude and react to negatives in a way that is positive in result. That is, it's not important, it's essential.
We had just that. We had a great partnership. We're making our way up to launch. It's day 2, and we finally have clear skies, light wind. Flying in the Brooks Range comes with a lot of inherent risk, and I think we had to manage the way that we made decisions on when to fly and where to fly from differently than we would have normally back home. All right, that's what we came for, right?
You bet, man.
Let's get some.
We just had our first flight of the trip. We flew from up there. Man, we launched a little early. The cycles were pretty good up there. I thought for sure that we were gonna get, you know, some decent rippers, and our goal was to cross the river, which we did.
Jeff was in a climb that was going up pretty good, and
it's probably, I don't know, more than 3/4 of the way up the peak and climbing good. And Cody was in it at the beginning, but
I came in too low and couldn't quite hook into it.
It was really broken and drifty and disorganized at the bottom, so he ended up falling out the bottom of it and landing, and
so it goes on to the next one.
It was amazing just to get in the air, just to test out the systems and launch with all of our stuff.
My bag was savage, and so my all-up weight was at least 5 pounds over what my glider was rated for. And so I was carrying a pretty heavy load and launching and landing and flying with a very heavy load. We were flying ultralight harnesses from Cortel Design that had thin pieces of AM steel that ran over your shoulder. And so if you can imagine hanging a 50-pound backpack from shoelaces over your shoulder and then running off a cliff while making sure that you're keeping your paraglider open and flying, it was definitely uncomfortable and added a little bit of tension to our launches.
You know, when we're on a peak and it's blowing over the back at 18 miles an hour, yeah, we might launch in the lee, or we might launch side hill and turn downwind and at least glide and cover some ground and make some distance without having to work so incredibly hard for it.
That also caused us to decide when we were and weren't going to fly a little bit, because it would take us 40 minutes to pack all of our gear from our backpacks into our harnesses to get ready to fly, and then when we landed it would take us another 45 minutes to pack it all back in walking mode. And so it was a big learning process just to figure out how to carry all the stuff that we needed for a trip like this into the mountains.
I'm always so caught up in what's coming next, and even on this trip I'm having to catch myself from saying we need to get here, we need to go this far, it would be so cool if we could do this. I just want to take this trip one day at a time and do exactly what we do, and be grateful for that. And whatever that is, wherever we end up, is going to be perfect.
Good.
You know, to fly with a good friend and to jump peak to peak, you know, at first it seemed like we were just kind of barely piecing it together. Cody got a little bit low, and I was just absolutely hoping that he was going to low save, and when he did and came up underneath me and we started climbing out, I don't think I've been happier in a long time. And to both make circles in nice, it was actually really smooth lift. That one established us much higher than the rest of the thermals. It was almost like it was sort of the mark of, like marking the beginning of a pretty special flight. We got high, and every direction you look, it's just an ocean of mountains. I don't think I've ever flown in a place like that. I mean, just the visuals of looking in every direction and seeing nothing but mountains it just absolutely blew my mind. It was just outrageous.
These mountains are huge! Got Mr. Shapiro front down here. Gotta catch up to him. Flying in Alaska.
Is that outrageous?
That's epic.
Dude, we got above the peak tops. Looking at all those snowy peaks off in the distance. That was fucking off the hook.
Yeah.
Dude, that was outrageous. And the flying was good.
Flying was super good, mellow, super mellow.
So nice.
I couldn't believe that we just covered what it took us 6 days to do previously in a matter of 90 minutes. And that's when it became real what was actually possible out here in the Brooks Range.
For sure the most memorable paragliding flight I've ever had. I mean, to fly across mountains like that and lift like that to base, and awesome. Yeah.
Let's get some more of that.
Yeah. To be able to be here and to experience it the way that we are, you know, every day is an adventure. Every day we end up somewhere new. We see it from the ground, we see it from the air, you know, flying 50 Ks over the mountains and covering all that ground and seeing all that expanse from, you know, 8,000 or 10,000 feet. And then seeing it in a really intimate way, you know, crawling through the willows in a river drainage in, you know, during a 40-mile-an-hour gust front and a storm with thunder and lightning, and following bear tracks out at Bear Trail because it's really the only logical way to get out of there. Yeah, pretty cool. It's like, I feel pretty lucky.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Some suboptimal paragliding conditions, eh?
Might be able to sneak one in between lightning bolts. It's raining and it's cold, but at least it's windy. Actually, it's not right now. It just stopped. Hey, Bear. We're expressing ourselves through effort and through what we've learned and through what we currently learn. And I think that, you know, aviation is an interesting one because, you know, you do have to be responsible and disciplined about where you land and how you fly and the decisions that you make based on risk management. But you also get to sort of have this balance of being a bit of an artist. And, you know, we launch from point A and we fly to an undetermined point B. And that's really, it's a rare thing to find in this world.
Good.
Everything is so predetermined, and to go for an adventure where you're not sure what's going to happen that day or the next day or the next day, that is super rare and really, 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 I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to do that in today's world.
The black wolf up on the hillside there. He's calling out to the rest of his pack.
I don't know if it's the same wolf, but these are definitely wolf tracks. That's where we came from. And that's where we're going. This guy's looking pretty good. It's supposed to overdevelop later, but it's looking pretty stellar right now. You got it.
And today started off with a lot of excitement. We were expecting bad weather and rain, and the skies just lined up with these beautiful cloud streets, and everything was lining up for a perfect XC day. I was the first one to take off and followed the line that seemed to make sense, and I just got drilled, and I found myself on the ground really frustrated because I knew that today could be a day that we could fly, you know, potentially a third of this entire route in one single go. Yeah, I guess it just wasn't meant to be, at least for me. It's super disappointing. You know, I know we're just out here to have fun, but it's really hard when work super hard to get up to launch. Yeah, you feel like you're letting your partner down, and it just...
As a partnership, we can only go as far as the first person who lands.
And in my case, I was on the ground before Jeff most days, and so that was hard for me. I felt that I was holding back our progress as a team because of some of my flying decisions. But at the same time, I I gave it everything that I had, and I flew as well as I could. I personally am having a bit of a panic attack thinking about flying because I don't know if I can handle bombing out again. And there's a reality of that. So yeah, today's been a bit of a emotional and physical crux for, I think, the both of us, but definitely for myself.
It was heartbreaking for me to know that Cody was disappointed in the idea that we could have done something different. But it's the tough moments, you know, it's the dark that makes the light that much brighter. I don't know what to say other than when you're on the ground, it doesn't matter anymore. You gotta just let that shit go. It's okay to be frustrated, but we're together, we're a team, we're safe. We got our wings, our gear is good. Hopefully Johnny will come in and give us a food drop today or tomorrow.
You know, to be honest, I feel like you're out here like guiding me and like holding my hand as I bomb out day after day.
Man, you know, I heard a funny saying one time. The oldest man was asked how he got so old. In other words, you know, what's the secret of longevity? And he said, that's really easy. When it rains, I let it. I've always remembered that.
That was also one of the biggest lessons that I learned from this trip, is that I need to let go of what I'm trying to make happen and just hold on for the ride of what's going to happen. Man, success in general is such a funny concept because we have ideas of success from what the world puts in our minds. And I think this trip was to kind of step away from all of that and to just have an experience in a place that is more beautiful than anything I've ever seen in my life. I mean, this place is so big and so vast. And to be able to come out here and walk through these river valleys and to be able to fly over this just ocean of mountains, it's been an experience that I'll never forget this time out here. Crazy.
That is the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, we just watched Mr. Johnny Olson land his Super Cub on maybe 100-foot long piece of shore in the river here.
It's really up and down there. It's gnarly out. I can't believe you're flying.
Yeah, all in the day's work, I guess.
No, it was I figured, you know, you guys were gonna run out of food. And I've been hungry, and the 3 tapeworms that I have don't get happy when it, you know.
Making it to the end is not as important. Making it through each day and feeling good about the way we behaved and are feeling good about our effort, being better friends at the end of the day than we started in that morning, those are the goals that I was out to accomplish. And you know, it turns out we got to do some pretty rad flying in an amazing place, and I do feel like I'm better friends with Cody than when I started this trip. And I fell in love with the mountain range. The Brooks Range is, I mean, being a pristine, untracked wilderness, it's one of the most beautiful and amazing and raw and powerful mountain environments I've ever been in the world. You know, right when you think you've seen a lot, there's more to see. And also that true adventure, the true uncertainty. Not like, I wonder if I'm going to be able to climb this, or I wonder if I'm going to be able to do this, or I wonder if I'm going to get hired for that job, or this or that, or blah, blah, blah. No, it's like, I wonder what's going to happen today. To me, an adventure of true uncertainty is so rare, it's hard not to be curious. It's hard not to want to just go into the dark and take a look and see what's out there, because I don't know. That's why. I don't know what's out there. So the only way to learn is to go out there and take a look, see what's around the next corner. maybe a few days of soggy walking, and then it's Cody's birthday, and then we're partying in Fairbanks, and it's been a hell of a trip. I'm pretty psyched, and yeah, man, I've learned so much on this trip. Kind of wish we were staying another 2 weeks. We'll be back, come back for another vacation. To be out in, the middle of the mountains with no roads and no trails and undisturbed wildlife. I mean, the Brooks Range is a pretty special place. There's talk of, and I think some fine print in a bill that was slipped in to try and allow some exploratory drilling and potentially, drilling for oil up here. I just can't imagine. We have to leave some places on the planet like this. We have to. It's worth it. It's worth it for my daughter. It's worth it for her kids and her kids' kids to have places like this. The ANWR is special because we can come out here and see what the planet was like before we changed it.
We're all very much attached to the digital age. Doesn't matter who you are, and that's a shame. I don't know, I see it even in my own daughter, That's probably the biggest reason why I get emotional about it, because I want her to have a visceral need to have wild lands. But as soon as we put a road into the thing, the genie's out of the bottle. And they're gonna go in there and they're gonna find some loophole to exploit that commercial interest. And it's not wilderness anymore. Just because it's worth something to the economy doesn't mean that we have to go out there and utilize it. It's worth something just as it is. I mean, it's the word, wilderness. You just, and you just can't, you're coming back in the airplane and you see nothing but just vista.
We flew for hours over untouched wilderness, and there's just millions of trees, and you can imagine just the hundreds of thousands of caribou migrating from Canada over into the ANWR. And there's not many places in the world left like this. And even if it is just a small section that most people aren't ever going to see, it just sets a precedent for going into places like this and allowing companies to drill for oil or start mining.
And as soon as you start seeing all this development, it's just not the same, it's not. And we need to protect ANWR as it is. It's so important. I just hope that my daughter will be able to enjoy wilderness like I have.
Words can't describe what we just saw and what we just experienced. And to be there sitting with a friend who just experienced that same thing, that was cool. And there's no way to really describe that.